Good evening. We'll call to order this evening's meeting of the City of Gahanna City Council for Monday, April 7th, 2025. If you would please join me to stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, led by Council Vice President Trenton Weaver.
Thank you. As we gather, we are grateful for, appreciate, and use each day that comes before us. For each day's duties and in each day's difficulties, we are challenged to give our best always in service to one another and to our community. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Bowers.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Renner.
Here.
Schnetzer.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
And McGregor is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Are there any additions or corrections to this evening's agenda? All right. Hearing none, we'll move to Section C of the agenda. We have two presentations from the Division of Police this evening. First, a promotion ceremony for Sergeant Michael Shapitka. Chief Spence and Director Becker.
I, Mike Shapitka,
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and statutes
the Constitution and statutes
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Gahanna,
of the City of Gahanna,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of Police Sergeant
of,
for the... No, you go ahead.
of Police Sergeant
For the Gahanna Division of Police,
for the Gahanna Division of Police,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Mike, hope your family could come forward.
I failed to security badge.
Oh.
Well, we were going to do a badge ceremony, but your family can come Before we get started, I'd like to...
Before we get started, I'd like to thank all our state, local, federal teammates that are here tonight. We have current and retirees, and we have a bunch of the great Gahanna PD team here. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate your work and all you do for us in the community. Michael was born in Euclid, Ohio, where he graduated from high school before attending Cleveland State University. There he earned his bachelor's degree in business administration with an accounting major and a minor in psychology. Mike has 26 years of law enforcement, including 9.5 years at Independence, Ohio PD, 3.5 years at Chandler, Ohio PD, and 13 years serving Gahanna. During his tenure at GPD, Mike has been a field training officer. He's on the officer fitness team. And he's been assigned to the high-intensity drug trafficking area task force as a narcotics detective for 11 years. That means those of you wearing the same uniform he's wearing now, you might have to teach him how to get around Gahanna a little bit. He's been gone for longer than he was here. Rose Shapitka, his wife, was going to pin his badge, and she'll get an opportunity later. But his daughters, his daughters Michaela and Celeste are here in support. In addition, His sister Melanie traveled up from Alabama, and his mother-in-law Julie is present. Mike enjoys exercise, jiu-jitsu, and spending time outdoors. He's learned resiliency his entire life as a Browns fan, a choice that also affords him free time on Sundays to enjoy his hobbies while others are watching the NFL playoffs. I say that as a fellow Browns fan. So the good thing about it, we get a lot of free time. Mike's excited to step in the next phase of his law enforcement journey as a supervisor, looks forward to working with this great team of Gahanna officers assigned to field services, and is excited about this new opportunity. So it's pretty rare. I've been in this profession for a little bit longer, Mike, that somebody at this point in their career decides to step forward and say, I want to give back as a leader. And I've listened to Mike, talked to him one-on-one. I'm really proud of why he made this decision, and I think he's going to do a wonderful job at it. So if we could give a round of applause for Mike. Before I give him an opportunity to speak, I also want to thank Pete Casuccio from FOP Lodge Number 9. Sorry, I forgot at the start. But Mike, you have any words you want to share?
Nope.
No.
I appreciate all my brothers and sisters in law enforcement stepping out to support me tonight and really our fine city. So thanks to the officers that have shared the last several years with me at the task force, and then my new coworkers. I look forward to the work we're going to do. That's it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here, and congratulations, Sergeant Shapika.
Well, congratulations to Sergeant Shapitka, and thank you to all who joined us this evening to celebrate this auspicious occasion.
First, thanks to council. It's a rare opportunity for promotions in an agency our size. Despite my complete failure to bring the badge, I appreciate the time that council affords us for these rare promotion ceremonies, so thank you. On behalf of myself, Director Becker, and the mayor's leadership team, we want to give you an update on the PD in terms of programs, processes. There's a lot going on, especially in 2025, as we work through a number of programs. First, we want to touch on police staffing. And this is really, we're actually looking at 2024 and 2025 because we do have some carryover in terms of filling officer positions, including the backfill for 2 police sergeants, Sergeant Hendon and Sergeant Pertz, that were sworn in front of council. The addition of 2 communications technicians, which we are now down to 1. We have a conditional offer to fill 1 of those slots. We do have a pending promotion of 1 communications technician to a communication technician 2 position. We added a management analyst in 24. Then we had a vacancy, and we're being able to fill that vacancy with another a management analyst vacancy that will be filled within the next 2 weeks. So we're happy to have that person on board. The mental health liaison was added as a contracted position. She joined us shortly after the start of the year. The CLO positions, we've had a little bit of movement in terms of the first funded position with retirements, promotions, and Officer Blair Thomas is in one of those slots, and then we added Officer Ann Joden right after the first of the year to a second slot. We have 6 remaining backfills of police officer positions that are pending. We have 2 conditional offers that are out, one starting the academy April 30th, and a second lateral transfer from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police that we expect to occur sometime in May. 2 evidence technicians were added in the 25 budget. Those job postings are active as we speak. The additional deputy chief position, which was part of our 25 request, that process will begin this summer. And then the training coordinator position is posted. That's a share of that position between us and Department of Administrative Services at the city level. So all those processes are ongoing and in flight. Next, speaking a little bit about public safety equipment, and again, a little bit of 24 into 25. We have $795,000 for radio equipment, which is an upgrade. We anticipate bringing that to council with a request in the next 30 days. We also have $150,000 slated in this year's budget for a 911 equipment life cycle upgrade. $21,000 was allocated for solar speed signs at 4 locations throughout Gahanna. Those have been deployed and are producing results. In September, we earlier part of last year, we brought forward our CAD project with 5 agencies: us, City of Whitehall, City of Bexley, City of Reynoldsburg, and Grandview Heights. We are anticipating the go live of that product and rollout to all 5 agencies. Sorry, I misspoke. Also, Reynoldsburg is in that consortium with us. With Gahanna being the host, our go live is slated for September of 25. $420,000 in police vehicle replacements. That includes the upfit, computers, all the safety equipment in addition to purchasing the vehicle itself. As we're going to speak a little bit about patrol operations, we added over 400,000 miles across the police fleet in 2024. To keep up with changes at the state in terms of breath testing instruments, we added the Intoxilizer DMT, went in service in late 2024. So far this year, as we've rolled that out, we've had a few setbacks as we've rolled that out because we have to be in compliance with Ohio Department of Health testing standards. But so far, that equipment has resulted in 44 tested individuals. Moving toward flock cameras, which was a big program that we initiated in 24 and continued in 25. 21 total cameras. The investment was $92,100. There are $65,000 per year in operating costs related to those 21 cameras. Here's a list of activity, including recovery of stolen vehicles, arrests made out of those stolen vehicles, hit skip crashes, one of note, including a bridge strike to the Hamilton Road Bridge that resulted in a significant roadway closure and a substantial amount of damage to the underside of that bridge, and we wouldn't have solved that hit skip without those cameras. Just a quick snapshot of other arrests or other cases solved, including domestic violence, violation of protection order, a number of theft offenses, firearms violations, and also sexually based offenses. The cameras were instrumental in providing investigative leads to an incident that occurred yesterday. We had a situation over on Angeles Drive that started about 4:30 a.m. It was a group of individuals that were breaking into cars that through the entire neighborhood around Angeles, Lincroft. There was a confrontation between a homeowner. There were shots exchanged between the homeowner and the suspects. The suspects then went mobile. They went to a short distance down the street to Milan and Heil, where another volley of gunfire erupted. They then fled the scene before arriving officers. The entire incident spanned approximately a minute and 20 seconds. I can say that investigation is ongoing. However, the flock cameras have provided us invaluable leads in trying to identify those suspects. As this month is Distracted Driving Awareness Month, while we produce a great deal of metrics, and I did follow up with an email including some summary of activity for our 2024 goals and objectives. But as it is distracted driving, trying to extract some metrics and keep this presentation as brief as possible, we focused on traffic safety and some of the trends we're seeing. Traffic crashes, March 25 versus March 2024, they're up 22% year to date, 161 versus 131. Injury percentage is up 3.92%, and this is all due to an increase in minor injury crashes. Year to date, we've had no fatal or serious injury crashes. And no serious injury crashes January through March of 25, same period. And actually, that was identical to the same period in 2024. We have seen a spike in crashes involving commercial vehicles. This includes overweight, off-route, off-permit. We've had 4 up from 0 the same time period last year. Good news to report, OVI crashes, those involving impaired drivers, are down 44% year to date over 2024 numbers. We are seeing a uptick in average daily traffic volume across the city of 2%. That includes both passenger and commercial vehicles. A couple breakdowns of our major roadways, including I-270, where anywhere from 25 to 40% of our monthly crash volume is directly related to traffic on 270. We've seen about a 1.8% increase of average daily traffic volume. And then US 62 east of Stigler, which is also one of our more congested roadways and one of our more crash-prone roadways, is up 1.3%. Overall, traffic volume is up. I think there's some environmental factors, including return to work policies at both the state and federal level and also in our business community. A little more on traffic enforcement. Our traffic stops are up 22% over last year. I have a breakdown of citations and arrests. But most notably, council has funded dollars related to e-ticketing and both on the court end of our mayor's court and also within the PD. 85% of all of our traffic citations have been issued electronically this year. This is up from 71% in 2024. I would note we probably will never get to 100%. A couple of factors related to that. If we file outside of Franklin County, those would be, we do not have the ability to send those electronically. Juvenile citations are still filed. And during our training phase with our officers in the field, we train both. We train both officers to write the electronic version, but also they have to be trained to learn to write them in paper format. But that's a significant increase over 2024 numbers. Police training, as you all know, and you've heard me speak multiple times in front of this body and in public, we have a significant investment in police training and a significant focus. Recruit training all the way through our in-service. Some of the topics that we covered year to date in 2025: de-escalation and mental health response, officer wellness, Ohio ethics law and its impact. Dynamic vehicle operations are actually slated for later this year. This results in a significant uptick in our police training dollars because The state is mandating dynamic vehicle operations training, and that's has to be done, in a controlled environment with vehicles, and we're contracting for this space and the ability to do that training later in the year. Legal updates continue. That's a block of training that we do the third quarter of every year. Last year's training, we focused on the many changes related to Ohio's marijuana law, among other things, including search and seizure, crossing the threshold from a legal standpoint. But another phase of our training that we don't really cover is our public engagement training. CRACE, Civilian Response to Active Shooter Environments, we've done a number of those. We've done a number of self-defense classes this year. We focused on women's self-defense. Our plan is to focus on our transitioning, graduating seniors as they go off to university and go to other environments outside of school. In addition to that training, we've done a number of vulnerability assessments related to our faith-based organizations and our business community, and that involves a level of training, but also reviewing emergency response plans and their staff training. Mr. Schultz has covered the transition to 825 in great detail, but I wanted to add some operational components that factor into our budget, our planning, our deployment. Certainly operational planning and workflow, that covers everything from how we're going to deploy from the new facility, but also things such as how we're going to operate the detention facility and all the many standards that are related to that. The sequencing of the move, this has to do with, again, operational planning. For example, how we're going to do property and intake and storage and make that move that might occur over a period of several weeks to a month, potentially. How we're going to do property and evidence processing, potentially at 2 locations as we transition and sequence our move. Equipment consolidation, that's an ongoing practice in terms of what equipment that we can, we have equipment that we use less frequently. We have equipment that we use every day. We have a lot of hot swap equipment in case something that goes down in the field that we can easily swap. So not only pre-positioning that, but also planning for that move is going to be critical. Property and evidence integrity. This is a huge one. This involves not only the move of our 20,000 plus items in our property room, but also maintaining chain of custody and evidence. As you've heard me speak many times about our accreditation, and that's coming, our on-site for CALIA accreditation occurs in August. It's a constant process of audits, evaluations, looking at everything internally in terms of our operations, but many standards related to accreditation, but also some things related to our compliance with ODRC, the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, related to our detention standards, essentially have been placed on hold because our facility does not meet those modern standards or does not meet those accreditation standards. So essentially, they're placed in a abeyance standpoint. But now, as we move into 825, all of those things apply to us because we are building a true modern policing facility, so we have to meet those standards. So there's a constant review process related to our policies and procedures as we get ready for that move. There are other public safety requirements. I mentioned the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections related to our detention standard, our detention center. LEADS, which is the Ohio Law Enforcement Automated Data System, or our CJIS compliance, our records and data security. Certainly 911, that lifeline needs to be up and operational, and we serve as a hub for 911 operations, not only for us, but for other agencies. We also have state and federal requirements that factor into all of this planning and all of this policy and procedural change. Some future considerations, police staffing to meet community growth and operational demands, that's ongoing. As we've heard and related to the strategic plan, we anticipate a major growth in the central Ohio region that will have a direct impact on crime, traffic safety. overall congestion, as we've already seen in indicators of that traffic congestion increasing. The new Gahanna Lincoln High School opening, and as enrollment growth continues within the district, how that will impact SRO needs. The expansion of the flock camera program to meet gaps in coverage in our neighborhoods, and opportunities that may exist with public-private partnerships with that program. Our training center use, this is a big one in also consideration of regional opportunities that we can use those training facilities as a budgetary offset for our overall operations, the cost of the facility. We believe that we have an opportunity to really be a regional training hub, especially our location adjacent to 270. We've got the airport, we've got hotels, we have all the support mechanisms to really take advantage of that training center. Again, a continued emphasis on training needs and equipment, maximizing internal and entrepreneur, boy, I can't speak tonight, I'm sorry, Director, you threw that word on me. Entrepreneurial opportunities, again, how can we leverage the investment to produce dividends for police training and other opportunities to invite the public in. Analyzing the impact of the new CAD and RMS system. Again, this is really truly a unique partnership, bringing 5 agencies together. It is a state-of-the-art system that has untapped potential. And as AI becomes more and more prevalent in every piece of software, tapping into predictive policing models and all of the functions that we don't have in our 20-year-old legacy system. That's our presentation. I'm going to turn it over to the director for some comments, and then if you have any questions of us.
First of all, I just want to say thanks. You know, public safety is expensive. We all know that. And it's hard to put a price on safety of the community, but you're challenged with doing that every year when you fulfill the budget. So you've done that. We're very grateful for the support, and we're doing all we can to be great stewards of those taxpayer dollars. We want to provide the safest environment that we can for the community with the resources allotted to us. A lot of these things, flock cameras, as Chief mentioned, are force multipliers, and that they allow us to do more, but also doing more means we have more staffing to do that more. You know, oftentimes cases that would have went unsolved now can be solved with the new technology, but then it adds more work on all the things that come after you solve the case, seeing it all the way through the court process. But that being said, after just started my 3rd year here, and watching Chief and everybody over there, I think they're operating in a really efficient manner. We're trying every day to become more efficient and effective and take a lot of resources we have and maximize the value we provide to the community.
Thank you both, Director and Chief Spence. We really appreciate your time and presentation. I will turn it over to my colleagues for questions. Yes, Councilwoman Jones.
Hello, thank you. It's a great presentation. I appreciate all the information. Was just curious about the mental health liaison, since that's a new position for us. I guess sort of what differences are you seeing? Are we seeing, less of a load on the other officers? Just kind of in the first few months, what are we seeing with that being a new position?
Sure. So first, once we onboarded that position, we worked through our referral process. So an officer in a field that has a mental health referral that works its way through the process, we crafted that, we identified it, we baked it into our procedures. And then we've also worked on the follow-ups that our liaison conducts. And there's a little bit of crosswork between us and Mifflin Township and the community paramedic, Beth DeConnick, she's up in that photo, by the way. So there is a little bit of crosswalk between us and Mifflin Township. What we are seeing is a much more streamlined process on dealing with some of our more chronic situations, whether it be homelessness. We have a number of mental health cases, whether results in potentially like a hoarding situation, maybe some elder care, working the way and being that liaison provides that continuity of care, that bridge to service from a police response all the way through to getting the appropriate resources. A little bit too early to tell in terms of overall impact. I believe I sent out a sample report of some of the metrics that we're going to begin to track as we work through those referrals in terms of what type of services that the liaison is able to connect. Streamlining our probate process if we have a chronic situation, working with a healthcare provider and the probate process may be the appropriate avenue. Most of that work is being done at the officer level, or more appropriately by the community liaison. So we're going to continue to fact gather and try to quantify all of that. Again, it's very new. So right now we're trying to get a handle on what types of referrals are we seeing, how that process is streamlined at the officer and the field level, and then what are the end results. So more to follow, but that's kind of it in a very short brief.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it. Yep. Yes, Mr. Weaver?
Thank you, Madam President. Just two quick questions. You mentioned the 400,000 miles on the vehicles in the fleet. How many vehicles are in our fleet?
So we have 22 marked vehicles, and then we have a number. We have 6 detective vehicles. We have a few revolving leases and a couple of support vehicles. Like we have our we call it the buggy of justice, our ATV that we use quite frequently at the school. It's been an invaluable resource. It's a coined phrase, but it's appropriate. But it's been invaluable for working around a construction site. Also our speed trailers and some other ancillary support vehicles. But 22 is our marked vehicle fleet.
What's the standard life cycle of a marked vehicle like that?
Well, standard, and I will actually defer to Mr. Weibensinger on the voodoo of the math, but. You know, once a vehicle, it's not necessarily the age of the vehicle. It's the mileage combined with the overall physical health of the vehicle. Where we are in terms of major components, transmissions, engines. I would say once we get north of 100,000 miles, we're in that window for replacement. That's anywhere from right now. Again, we have endeavored to flatten out mileage so we didn't have spikes in certain model years. We want a good period of time without the availability of getting vehicles, because when production shut down post-COVID, it not only shut down the vehicle supply chain, but it also shut down all those components. It's been a never-ending game of catch-up over the last couple of years. So we do have some rough batches. We've had some unexpected losses in the vehicle fleet due to catastrophic mechanical failure. 4 to 5 years is what we're shooting for, but you know that really is fluid.
So anticipating some future needs then.
Future needs, but for this year, again, we've played catch up over last year, so we got a very substantial influx of vehicles. We're still rotating those and still equipping them, so I think we're going to be okay for now.
One more quick question.
Yes.
And then mentioned the 21 flock cameras. Are they all deployed currently?
All 21 are deployed. There's a combination of hard power and solar power related to that. There is when it comes to deploying a camera, there is an expense of connecting it, either determining power or hanging it on a pole.
Okay. And you mentioned the annual fee for the service, right? I think that's is that maintenance, or if something happens to the camera?
It's a complete cost of ownership. It's an annual fee of $3,500 for some cameras. Some, depending on their range and what type of street they're covering, we might need a little more robust camera that can range up to $5,000 annually. But that is total cost of ownership. They service them quite frequently. If anyone goes down, they immediately bring out a replacement camera, and that's all covered in those fees.
that's all for me. Thank you both for the presentation and all the information, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Ms. Padova?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation, all of the updates, and also everything that you guys just do daily. I especially appreciate all of the work that you guys have put in here over the last a little more than 24 hours after this weekend's incidents. I know that some of the residents in Gahanna Heights, we have at least one of them here tonight, but might be tuning in. And so I just wanted to, I know I spoke with you earlier, and getting off the phone with you, I felt a lot more comfortable about the situation. But my understanding is there's no reason to believe that this is something that would happen again, or this is a one-off situation. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, I would just say this is an extremely quiet neighborhood with a low incidence of crime. This was an extreme one-off. Extremely concerning. What I can tell you is that there was a significant and robust patrol response to the scene within a couple of minutes. Again, the entire incident spanned about a minute and 20 seconds. But we did secure valuable points of evidence, and as I mentioned earlier, we have substantial leads generated off of the flock camera deployment. We're following up with those as we speak. As in terms of any overall threat to that neighborhood, again, an extremely isolated incident, and we're confident that we have the needs and the resources necessary to bring it to a resolution quickly.
Thank you. And with the flock cameras, I know that quite a few of our neighboring communities have those as well. So I'm assuming that you guys work in conjunction with each other. And
there's an entire network. I could go on a number of cases that have actually spanned multiple states. In fact, I mentioned that bridge strike hit skip that spanned multiple states with that particular vehicle involved. Yes, we do have an extensive network. Any public safety camera we have access to across the country. We also have the ability to tap into a number of private partnerships as long as we enter into agreements for the use of that information. So that is available to us as well.
thank you. Thank you for kind of giving us an update on that situation this evening. I know a lot of my neighbors are. I know that the GPD has talked to a lot of them. We went on a walk today and talked to a few neighbors, and a lot of them had talked to some of the officers and felt a lot more comfortable with the situation. So I appreciate taking that time to communicate with them and letting people know what's going on and all that you guys are doing to get this figured out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Renner?
Yes, Chief, thank you. I actually want to dovetail a little bit with my colleague about that incident since it's being brought up. Number one, you know how I really enjoy and I stand in front to be able to actually champion you and the entire department on the response. There's only so much you can do, and then when you do respond, you respond well. My question and my point is, I'm very alarmed that a resident took it upon himself or herself, or I don't know who, and actually used a gun for over a car. I've been through training. You know I'm a gun owner. You know that I'm a CCW holder. One of the big things that they drill into you is that you don't use it unless it's very serious and that imminent death. So I'm alarmed. And was there anything said to this individual or reprimanded or ticketed or anything like that? And what is our public messaging on that?
I would just say it's part of an ongoing investigation. And I share your concerns, as do the investigators in the field. And I'd like to we can have further discussion as the investigation continues.
And what's our public messaging then?
I think we want to get to the facts first before we
Okay,
go too far.
fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. And I do appreciate the point that you're making and look forward to additional information being shared on that. A couple questions from me. Would you please speak to some new initiatives that you might be anticipating in 2026?
In terms of new initiatives, I think we've covered some of do I anticipate any significant ask related to budgetary? No. It will be our first year of operating at 825. A big emphasis is going to be on the training component. Also, tailoring our operations around that new facility. What I do anticipate with our accreditation as we finally make that giant leap, and there are a number of things, more internal and administrative, but also an operational component. As I said, there are a number of things standards that we don't meet because of our current facility. So I anticipate a big administrative push. The CAD system, that there's a lot of untapped potential. Again, we're operating on a 20-year-old software platform. So what that means in terms of overall records management, the capabilities and how we address some of the administrative tasks that come with such a robust system, I think will be up for discussion probably in the future. I anticipate that we may need additional support staff. Again, we're still playing catch up operationally with our new hire officers. So we've overcome a lot of equipment hurdles over the last 2 budget cycles. So we're starting in a really good position with our life cycle management that sometimes takes multiple years to occur, but we're trying to front load some of those programs, and those are already funded. So in terms of anything moving into 26, it will really be embracing 825 and all of its potential. Certainly an emphasis on training and adjustments to our operations related to our accreditation and the many facets that we'll be dealing with kind of moving in. There are a number of legislative changes that we're keeping our eye on and how those will impact us, and that's kind of an ongoing process that we'll adjust to.
Thank you. A follow-up question. You mentioned public-private partnership opportunities a couple of different times. Is that only in regard to the flock cameras, or is that with respect to other potential opportunities for collaboration?
Well, I think certainly we're looking at the training components and how we can better make use of that space, and that may involve private partnerships with training outlets. Certainly on the flock side, we do have the ability to look at neighborhood-specific or association-specific funded camera systems. One is in use at the Jefferson Meadows development, so that's actually in Franklin County, but they make use of it at the county level. So those are just 2 examples.
Thank you. And I guess just a last question for me. I appreciate very much that AI systems are certainly becoming more standardized and are likely to be a base level of technology going forward. I'm sure you understand, there are privacy concerns and historical bias concerns associated with systems like that. So especially when you reference predictive policing, I anticipate that as you consider rolling out those technologies, that you will also be addressing and ensuring those concerns as well.
Absolutely. Currently, the system that we have when it comes to analyzing trends and extracting data, like even things like time of day occurrence, and I'm looking more toward what's already in our system, what's already being collected. We ingest a great deal of information at all levels, but trying to turn that around into forecasting trends. I mean, if we look at just, for example, vehicle thefts or thefts from vehicles, that's a regional, essentially a regional epidemic. we're not immune. Just being able to pull all of our extracted data in terms of when those calls are received, when the crime occurrence, be able to turn that quickly into some type of predictive model is very time consuming. This new technology, and I certainly share your concerns. I think AI can be dangerous if not monitored, but when I mention it, I'm looking about information we're already ingesting in crime trends.
Okay.
Now that we're connected to 5 agencies, we'll have the ability to connect with Reynoldsburg, with Bexley, with Whitehall, and use their data as well. So that's more along the line of being able to rapidly turn around ingested data.
Great.
There's a term that's been used for a long time in police that they're DRIPs, data rich, information poor. What Chief's referring to is the data we already have, the time of day, when is the traffic problems, when are the citations, the accidents. We just don't have a person who has the bandwidth to go through all that. That's the type of stuff that AI, more than what maybe most people would think AI is directed towards targets, it's more distilling the information that we already have and allowing us to best deploy our resources in the most efficient and effective manner.
I got it. Yeah, so we're talking more about just smart analytics versus generative or predictive.
Yes.
In the sense. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. And I guess just to sort of transition, these departmental updates are intended to help give a little bit of an overview of what's going on with the department so that as we move forward throughout the year, council and the public are being made aware of just internal operations and then being able to maybe anticipate a little bit more what we might see in a future budget cycle. So we very much appreciate your time this evening in putting together this presentation. Right. With that, we will move on to our next presentation this evening. We have a presentation from Melanie Hill, Director of Data and Analysis at the United Way of Central Ohio, to present on Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, or also known as ALICE. And I wanted to turn this over to Councilwoman Jones if she'd like to make a further introduction.
Yes, thank you. So I had the opportunity to hear from Melanie and another presenter at some point last year at a Franklin County conference and was just really intrigued by this information. We so often think about, middle class and below poverty line when there's this sort of middle bucket, if you will, of our community who are essentially working poor. And so when I met Melanie and also found out she was a resident, I was like, hey, can we get some information specifically on what this looks like for our community? And I just thought this would be important information for us to think about as legislators as we think about the policies and legislation in our community, but also just to know our residents better. So thank you for your time in pulling this together. And I look forward to sharing what I know so far, which is only a little bit, with you all as well via Melanie. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me? And thank you for having us here. Again, my name is Melanie, and I lead the data analytics team at United Way of Central Ohio. I've been a resident of Gahanna for the past 15 years, and we're really excited to share. This is my colleague. Oh, okay, Troy Rindler, and he's a senior data analyst at United Way of Central Ohio. So we're going to tag team and tell you all about who Alice is. Maybe. Okay. As Councilwoman Jones said, ALICE means, it's an acronym for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. And the pictures on the slide tell the story as well. It's people that are above the federal poverty level, but not able to afford the basics in today's modern economy. So that could be childcare providers, retail salespeople, waiters, delivery drivers, folks working at the local Home Depot. And it's people that we come in contact with every day. So there are some groups who experience a disproportionate level of hardship, and that information is provided in the report more in depth, but it spans all races, ethnicities, ages, genders, so on and so forth across the nation. And what we're sharing with you today is information from the latest report, which was released in 2024. And this will give you an introduction and a deeper understanding of what the data is. And then I'm happy to share that in May, mid-May, there'll be a new report released. So once you kind of get your feet wet with Alice, next month we'll be sure to give you the updated report, and you can look at how the data has changed year over year. So the foundation of the Alice body of work is the Alice Household Survival Budget. And that is, it reflects the minimum cost to live and work in today's current economy. And so that is kind of the basis for determining if a household is what we call above or below the Alice threshold. And then when we talk about households that are below Alice, they are inclusive of Alice households and poverty-stricken households. So this slide shows the number of households that fell below the Alice threshold in 2021 and 2022. And you can see the numbers increased a little bit, where in 2022 it was almost 1.9 million households. And in Ohio. And in the whole state of Ohio, we have about 4.8 million households. So that amounts to 39%, or almost 40%, of the households in our state were actually not able to make ends meet. And that is usually kind of shocking to us when we think about it, because we're used to hearing about poverty numbers, and the poverty level in Ohio is like maybe 14 or 15%, but there's twice as many households that are in Alice category that are struggling. So oftentimes they kind of like fall, they're kind of invisible and often ineligible for supports that we have. This is perhaps my favorite visualization in the latest Alice report, and it's a comparison of the household budget, household survival budget, and the different categories, and that's the blue columns. And then the yellow and green columns are the wages and credits. And it shows the changes year over year from 2021 to 2022. And the things that are kind of notable about this, and the other thing is that this is for a family of 4, so 2 working adults and 2 children in the household that I think at least one of them a preschooler and an infant. So this household budget would include childcare in the cost. So that's something that you don't see in a lot of budgets, or it's not taken into account for things like federal poverty level. The thing that is worth pointing out is that in 2021, there were pandemic era credits and supports at play, and they expired or started to go away in 2022. But we see that the costs increased from 21 to 2022. So in 21, the gap between the budget and the income wasn't that great, but it was still a shortfall. And in 2022, even though there was a 9% increase in wages for these common occupations, they were still further away from meeting the budget because some of these supports went away. So we really appreciate this and looking at it kind of year over year data, because it helps you to see the changes, and it also gives you a more realistic picture of what it costs to live in today's modern economy, because you can see the 2022 poverty level is just completely out of touch with reality. So one of the other things that the Alice report does is they break things down into different demographic categories. We're just going to highlight a couple of them in the interest of time here, but one of those groups is children, families with children. And we have in the state of Ohio, a lot of our families who have children have challenges. So 32% of families with children in Ohio in 2022 were not able to afford the basics. But if you break that down even further into different demographics, you'll see that within the group of, the demographic of households with children, there's some disparities. 74% of single female-headed households, and then 48% of single male-headed households were facing financial strain in 2022. And that's in contrast to 13% of married parent families who were struggling. So that can be relevant in terms of thinking about the benefits cliff, or, what types of families in our community are experiencing hardship more than other different types of families. So in Gahanna, we did pull the prevalence of female-headed households. That is about 6.2%, which is on par with the numbers in Franklin County. And then in contrast to that, we have about 53% of married couple households, and within that demographic, about 22% of them have children. So in Franklin County, it's about 38.5% married couple households, of which 17% have children. So we're kind of the same as Franklin County in terms of the single female-headed households, but we have more households in our community that are married couples with children. And that group as a demographic tends to fare better and has a lower incidence of ALICE versus the single-headed household groups. Another demographic to draw attention to are older Americans, so those that are 65 and up. That's the biggest age demographic where we're seeing an increase in the prevalence of ALICE households. So as older Americans, there's more, and I know we hear about that in our society we have like an aging population and whatnot, but there's more folks that are struggling, more are having to stay in the workforce past retirement age to be able to make ends meet. And then we did pull some numbers in Gahanna. We have a little bit over 16% of the Gahanna population is age 65 and over, whereas in Franklin County, it's a little bit less than 13%. So just like those are two demographics for us to just pay attention to and be aware of. So I'm going to turn it over to Troy to dig a little bit deeper into what it looks like in Gahanna.
Thanks, Melanie. As this graph shows, compared to Franklin County and the state of Ohio as a whole, Gahanna has fewer households from a per capita standpoint that are below the ALICE threshold. Franklin County and Ohio both have just under 40%. Gahanna has 24%. So significantly less. However, that's still a quarter of the population. So that's roughly 8,400 residents that are struggling to meet their basic needs. The Consumer Price Index, which is our standard measure for inflation, tracks over 200 categories of items. That includes luxuries such as power boats and jewelry and scuba gear. That's not really relevant for ALICE households, and so ALICE came up with ALICE Essentials Index that measures just those basics: housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, and technology. That, over the last 3 years, has far outpaced the CPI, 7.4 here in Ohio compared to 6.1 nationally for the CPI. Just to give that some perspective, in 2021, in Columbus Metropolitan, the MSA, the median income was $47,022.50 per hour. To meet the ALICE Essentials Index rate, that would, in 2023, would have to be $54,000, a 15% increase. The median income in Columbus as of May 2024 was $49,000. So this is just, this gap, this benefits cliff, this benefits gap is just continuing to progress, continuing to grow. And It's causing more families to fall under that survival budget, and it's probably creating struggles for families who are technically above the ALICE threshold as well, just as these basic needs continue to rise above the cost of inflation. We also wanted to provide you some tools on the website. There are interactive maps. Here we've selected the census designated place of Gahanna, and you can kind of see how it compares from a shading perspective across the region. And there's also a wage tool that you can select the family structure. This is, I think, a family of 2 with their hourly wage, and where that would be in this map. They would be above the ALICE threshold in all but Franklin County and Hamilton. There's an ALICE legislative district tool where you can drill down to the congressional district and see much of the same data and demographic breakdowns. So we encourage you to all visit United for ALICE to dig deeper into the data. We also encourage the use of the data to create change in the community. As Melanie referenced, the federal poverty level has lagged behind inflation, has lagged behind reality, and it's one size fits all for the contiguous states. There's no change for the cost of a region. There's no change for 2 adults, 2 seniors, 2 adults, 2 children, 1 adult, 3 children. They're all the same federal poverty level. ALICE adjusts for that. ALICE adjusts for locality costs. So we think ALICE is great.
Yeah, and it's updated annually. And it used to be updated every other year, but now due to demand, it's updated every year. And it's across the nation. We have partner states. We are a state partner. So all of this data is available to anybody who goes onto the United for ALICE website. And what we have up here is a couple of links. I think you have an electronic copy of this. You can click those links and look at a couple of articles that are examples of where the ALICE, how ALICE data has been used in the community. So we will pause for questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions from my colleagues? Oh, Mrs. Padova.
Thank you. Not so much a question as a comment, just thank you guys so much for being here and sharing this with us. As most of my colleagues know here, I worked at Grin for a couple years, and I didn't have this data, but this, as you were going through all of these numbers, like absolutely makes sense. And I just think it's another call out for families who might be in this position that think, we're not under the poverty threshold, so maybe we shouldn't be going to Grin, that they are there to serve that as well. And they do a lot of that, the cliff?
Benefits cliff.
Benefits cliff, yes. So thank you guys so much for your work. I think that creating awareness around this, this gap of people is very important, so thank you.
Thank you. A couple questions down here.
Yeah, thank you. I was really just had a moment of like, oh my goodness, when you broke down almost or a little over 8,000 residents in Gahanna are struggling to meet basic needs. So, Ms. Padova spoke about Grin, but I'm just curious, as you, I believe, shared this with other municipalities and all over the place, what are other communities doing to try to address that? We have Grin, but like what else? Or are there unique and innovative ways that you're seeing other communities try to address this?
We are. So right here in the city of Columbus, actually, the ALICE data was kind of the inspiration, I guess, and it's used as the determine eligibility for an economic mobility accelerator program that they're piloting. So the city is partnering with, I think, 6 local nonprofits, and they're all taking unique approaches to serving people that fall under that benefits cliff. And it's an economic mobility acceleration program. So I think it's called conditional cash assistance programs. We're doing it at United Way through our tax time program. So working with a partner and folks that are taking advantage of the free tax preparation services offered by United Way. And it's a certain subset of the population that they're kind of targeting because it's a small pilot at this point. But those families are having an opportunity to get like an infusion, a conditional infusion to help increase their economic mobility and help them navigate the benefits cliff. There's a partnership, I think, with Goodwill is one of the partners, and they're doing that in conjunction with a CDL class. So commercial drivers, those are just a couple of examples. And then on the ALICE website, there's a section called ALICE in Action, I think. And you can actually do like a keyword search and look for examples of how people are using the ALICE data to inform or to advocate. And another thing that we do is we want to increase awareness because we believe that the more nuanced awareness anybody has about, especially elected officials, about their constituents, then the better they can serve them. So we have met with Columbus City Council folks, not all of them, but we're working our way through all of them and making them aware and pulling some data that's more localized to their districts and sharing it at the state level as well to increase awareness. And would you add?
Sure. And just that keyword search also includes localities. So like if you want to look at a place versus a state level, you can do that. You can do it age range, like they have seniors directed interventions. But I think the key is a lot of it is that eligibility piece. You know, when like one example, especially as we talk about housing in Franklin County, HUD uses area median income, which is specific to a census tract. Well, that census tract's area median income could be far significantly below what you would need to survive. So utilizing ALICE in conjunction could really benefit some families who would not be eligible because they're in a census tract that falls well below the general county, but they're also still under the ALICE threshold.
That's really helpful. That's a great point. Thank you. Mr. Schnetzer, and I think Mr. Renner also had a question. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate you both for being here. This is good information. And you may have, you kind of touched on the question that I was going to ask here is regarding just understanding what the data is or what it's representing. Is the survival budget, is that adjusted for MSA or is like, okay. So the survival budget for Columbus will be different than the survival budget for like Scioto County, Ohio?
Yep.
Okay.
And you can actually, there's actually a, so there's the wage tool, but there's also an income tool where you can plug in I believe it's at the county level.
Okay.
But you can plug in the county and put in the different family structure, and then it'll kick back what they would need to make in order to be to meet that ALICE threshold.
No, that's cool. So in my day job, we sometimes deal with Community Reinvestment Act lending standards, and you were talking about HUD, and so LMI and those types of things is that'll adjust for the MSA. So very familiar with that. I also just want to say thank you guys for kind of talking about the, I guess what we'll call discrepancies in inflation. The official government statistics that's often referenced as CPI or the Consumer Price Index, and in fact, our chief economist at my employer came up with what he had just kind of colloquially referred to as the common man CPI, and it's like 2x what the official government statistics are. So And that matters for a whole host of reasons when you're talking about various government programs and those types of things. So anyway, good information here, much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Mr. Renner?
Yes, thank you. I'm sure you've heard it, over and over and over. Thank you so much for this presentation. I'm just trying to get clarification over, you hit us with a barrage of numbers.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to understand what I think I heard. And so I'll be looking to you to tell me, what did you say? So this 8,000-ish number, what is it that you're saying about Gahanna residents? And then your slide says, using the tool, 2,700. So I'm trying to understand this discrepancy there.
It's households versus residents.
Individuals.
Yep.
So the tool points to the number of households.
Yeah.
You're saying the
We
8,000.
translated it to, we kind of did a rough translation to individuals, just because the number, like Gahanna has about 36,000 residents, and a lot of times, we felt like people don't always think about numbers in terms of households, but that is kind of how the Alice research is presented. So we threw the number in there for, just to help wrap your mind around how many people it would look like, is about 8,500 people.
And to be extra, careful with sharing data, we did also multiply by the average household size. So it wasn't just the 24% of the total residents. We also multiplied the households by the average household size of Gahanna, just to be more secure with what we were presenting.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I see a lot of this in my day job every day. I'm a director for the Franklin County. I report directly to the Board of Commissioners. And yeah, so I see a lot of this every day. And one of the questions I had was when you were talking about the age population, especially the 65 and over, one thing that we know that is a story here in Gahanna, but across Franklin County, is that older Americans are having to take care of their grandchildren more and more. So how does that included in this data?
I think it's more broad. I don't think they're drilling down into that, but you might be able to, I'm not sure if you can select it, but in some of the interactive tools, you might be able to select as a head of household, like an adult over the age of 65, a preschool-aged child, and a school-aged child. And then it would show you like what is the income needed for that household to be above the ALICE threshold. So that, I think that's one way you could pay attention to that demographic and kind of learn more about them. But they're not specifically called out with that family type, to my recollection, in the reports. It's more general.
I think also that, if, I'm not sure if there's primary caretakers or it's like while the parents are at work. Okay, yeah, primary caretaker, I got it. Then that would be in that income, or that income tool, you could select 65 plus and those children.
Right.
Yep.
Then one more question, if I may. I know that Alice, I've been intrigued that because we're talking about asset limited, and one of the things that, we're growing as a society more cognizant of how do we create more generational wealth for all Americans. When you're looking at this, the 65 and older population probably has assets. They have homes, whereas the other families are probably living in apartments, or would you say that they're living in households as well, homes?
I don't know. I think it varies.
Yeah.
But I think I would have to read up on the methodology to get into the details about the types of asset, because the acronym is saying that they're limited in their assets, but not necessarily without them. So I think it would take a deeper dive into the methodology to like look at, okay, what are the assets that we're talking about here?
And I think asset limited could be that, you know, they may be living in a home, however, their housing cost burdened.
Yeah.
And so they're still, you know, their housing costs are above 30%, which is fairly common for, you know, households with children, especially in the, you know, external, the 270 belt, like on the edges of the 270 belt. That's very common in that group.
Right. Well, thank you. My only comment is this drills home again for me, any kind of discussions that we are going to augment property taxes, this is another thing that has to be part of those discussions. We have a test coming up apparently in May, so we'll see. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Councilwoman Jones, for the invitation, to Director Hill and to Mr. Rindler. We really appreciate having you here, and our thanks for your work at United Way of Central Ohio.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to Section D of this evening's agenda. I do have one speaker slip this evening. Mrs. McCorkle, if you would please come to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes. And as you know, please state your name and address for the record.
Can you not time me till I get this adjusted here, this microphone? Okay. Kathy McCorkle, 677 Piccadilly Court, Gahanna. Good evening. About a month ago, I stood before this council with an idea for a resolution for a Natural Family Month. Since then, I've reached out to Council Member Marissa Bowers, asking for a meeting to discuss the resolution process and my ideas about this. This morning, I finally received her email response. Bottom line being, no, I'm not willing to meet with you or to further discuss your requested resolution. This elected at-large council member admits she does not represent all Gahanna citizens. On tonight's agenda is a link to Mrs. Bowers' March constituent report, where at the bottom she wrote, "Where can you most influence the day-to-day lives of your neighbors? The answer is local government. I welcome your thoughts, questions, and information about what's going on in Gahanna. To schedule a meeting, coffee, or call, please email me or call this number." What is this? A lie? Fake information? A joke? I stand here briefly before this elected council to give a shout out to the citizens of Gahanna. My fellow Gahanna citizens, look at the people you elected to rule over you here in Gahanna, those on city council and those on school board. Look into their character, their ideology, and their deeply rooted belief system. See if they truly believe in democracy, in free speech, and in representing all the people of Gahanna in how they govern, even if your ideas are different from their own. See if they truly believe by their actions that they work for you. My fellow Gahanna citizens, speak up for what's right, get active, stay involved in the public square in some way. That council person who would wield their power to silence you, your voice, and your participation in your government because they do not believe in equality for your values may be the very person that you voted for. Thank you.
All right, Section E of this evening's agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to, let's see, I'm sorry, I apologize. Before I take a motion to adopt the consent agenda as published, I'd like to request Mr. Van Meter to read the ordinances identified under subsections 3 and 4.
Ordinances for second reading and emergency adoption. Ordinance 0008-2025, an ordinance to repeal and replace the City of Gahanna Codified Ordinances, Chapter 903, Sidewalk Construction, Maintenance, and Renewal, and declaring an emergency. Ordinances for second reading and adoption. Ordinance 0009-2025, an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the City of Gahanna, Chapter 147, Board of Zoning and Building Appeals, Chapter 770, Property Appeals Board, and Chapter Section 1117.09, Appeals.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. With that, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the consent agenda as published.
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Renner, second by Mr. Schnetzer. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes. Motion carries and the consent agenda is adopted as published. Section F on this evening's agenda, we did have one resolution that was removed from consent agenda and placed here on the regular agenda. Resolution 15-2025 was initially discussed at committee on March 24th. Subsequent to that discussion, there were amendments. It's my understanding that there are some outstanding questions that the contract needs to be approved before the end of this month. Given that, I'd like to request a motion to postpone Resolution 15-2025 to a date certain, on for a vote on April 21, and referred back to Committee of the Whole on April 14th. Is there a first on the motion to postpone the resolution to a date certain?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Weaver. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess question for the administration, no issues, and this isn't going to hold up this project or anything like that? We'll still be able to meet the timeline?
Yeah, I believe the timeline, it was at the request of the city attorney that we have this back on committee for next week, and I think that it needs adopted or in the state's hand by the end of the month, so I think we have just a small enough window to get it done.
I believe it's by the 24th.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll on the motion to postpone to a date certain?
Weaver?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries and the resolution is postponed as discussed. Section G, ordinances for introduction and first reading. Mr. Van Meter, would you please read the ordinances identified under Section G into the record?
Ordinance 0010-2025, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into an easement agreement with Columbia Gas of Ohio, Inc. Ordinance 0011-2025, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into a temporary construction easement with Columbia Gas of Ohio, Inc. Ordinance 0012-2025, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into an access and general utility easement with Columbia Gas of Ohio, Inc. Ordinance 0013-2025, an ordinance to accept the dedication of 0.057 acres of right-of-way extension from parcel number 025-012-951, located off Cliffview Drive for the purpose of facilitating a future lot split for the construction of a regulator station by Columbia Gas of Ohio, Inc. Ordinance 0014-2025, an ordinance to accept the dedication of 0.071 acres of right-of-way from the property located at 4720 Shaw Road to comply with the city's 2019 thoroughfare plan. Ordinance 0015-2025, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to award and enter into a contract with Decker Construction Company for the 2025 Street and Sidewalk Maintenance Program, ST 1114. Lastly, Ordinance 0016-2025, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriations, Clerk of Court Computer Fund 2290 for capital equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Next section, Section H, correspondence and actions. Mr. Van Meter, do you have any items this evening?
Nothing this evening.
Great. And under council, we have identified a link to sign up for the new City Council newsletter. There's also a second edition of this newsletter that is available for review under this correspondence and actions section. Section I do my colleagues have anything further under correspondence and actions? All right. Section I, representatives, Mr. Renner and Ms. Padova, Community Improvement Corporation.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The CIC did meet on March 18th at 8 o'clock, and it started promptly at 8 with the approval of the minutes and the finance, which I'll go over just briefly in a second. But the mayor actually gave her long status of the city and the city doings, as she normally does here at the meeting. So there's nothing new there. But planning actually talked about that there were two tech center projects, one that involved a roofing company and one that was more mixed use. We did go into executive session under section 121.22 of the revised code. Section G2 permits an executive session to discuss the sale of property. I did not write down what time we went in, and so I'll amend my report next time. All right, and Kaylee, if you remember.
Do not, but I think that we ended just before 9.
Yes, and we did, and you're right. Our balance sheet as of February, which is draft, is $8,295,211. The profit and loss, which is again draft from February, shows that we have income of nearly $20,500, but we have expenses of about $52,765. And in January, the statement of cash flows from January is all I have, and it is also draft, shows that cash ending at the period at that time was $203,503 and 41 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. And that will all be available on the CIC's website.
Actually, I forgot to check that to see if it's been.
Yes, as soon as the minutes and financials are approved, they get uploaded to the website. So there was a period of time where they hadn't because we didn't have that meeting in February, so there was kind of a backlog. But usually Rachel uploads those right after the meeting once they're voted on and approved.
Perfect. And then our next meeting is April 15th at 8 a.m.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Weaver, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. As always, thanks to Management Analyst Jess Hiltz for her assistance in preparation of the report in Council office. A couple items from the report to highlight. First of all, thank you to everybody who was able to attend the Morpsey State of the Region. Wonderful to see so many members of the administration there, as well as council colleagues, members of the Planning Commission, Council office. So thank you, everyone who could attend that. Morpsey will be hosting a community housing resource fair this Saturday from 10 to 2 at Morpsey. It is a free event to connect with experts and explore housing support options. Morpsey recently approved over $52 million for regional infrastructure projects, and our next meeting of the commission will be this Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Convention and Visitors Bureau, Councilwoman Padova.
Thank you. Herb Day is right around the corner, coming up here in May. It will be Saturday, May 3rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Creekside. There's going to be the plant sale that everybody knows, but then lots of other vendors, activities, and music as well. So we do need some volunteers for that event. So you can go to ohioherbcenter.org and click on Herb Day to sign up to volunteer. May 3rd also kicks off the Urban Restaurant Week, so where we pair with local restaurants that offer special herbal dishes all week long and have like a special menu to celebrate Gahanna's herb capital designation. So participating restaurants will be listed on Visit Gahanna's website as that gets closer, and they also will release that on social media as well. So stay tuned for that. There's always a lot of good good things on those menus. The volunteer link for the Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival is also live now. So go to creeksidebluesandjazz.com to sign up as an individual volunteer. I've been doing that the last few years, and it's a lot of fun to kind of participate in the festival. If you've been going to it just as general admission, it's kind of fun to go there and volunteer. You see lots of friends and neighbors, and also meet new friends and neighbors. So it's a really good time to give back to the community, and then there's also some other perks that go along with that. So you can go to, again, creeksidebluesandjazz.com to sign up and be an individual volunteer. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Councilwoman Padova. School Board, Councilwoman Jones.
Nothing for me this evening, as we are just back from spring break.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Official reports, Mayor Jadwin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the many residents and guests who attended our State of the City event. I think we had a wonderful turnout that night. Every department was represented, including council office, city attorney's office. Thank you for being part of that as well. I think we had 13 Gahanna restaurants, 19 community, regional, state organizations that all participated. And from the feedback that I had heard, everybody really enjoyed the opportunity to engage, talk to staff, talk to electeds, talk to our organizations, learn more about our Gahanna. If you were not able to attend, for those who might be watching at home, there is the 2025 State of Our City video. It's available on the city's YouTube channel. I believe there's also a link available to that video on gahanna.gov. So thank you again for everybody's participation. A Citizens Academy has kicked off. We have had 2 classes so far. We welcomed a group of 20 Gahanna residents, a wonderfully diverse group, many longtime residents as well as individuals who just recently moved into the city. They have been very engaged. They're very conversational and just really asked some great questions and had good discussions. So looking forward to the next several weeks with them as we continue to have conversations around how their local government works for them. Real quickly, just as a follow-up, last time we were here, we talked a little bit about Senate Bill 104, which is the bill on short-term rentals. The bill sponsor, Senator Brenner, recently held a meeting with interested parties. I believe that was held last week. Included multiple groups and organizations who all either offered proponent or opponent testimony on that bill. It included the Ohio Municipal League, Ohio Mayor's Alliance, county auditors, the Ohio Realtors. My understanding is they discussed collection of lodging and sales tax from STRs, and there was a great conversation around the collection mechanism for those taxes. And it seemed, from what I had heard from the report that I received, that everybody was pretty much on the same page. It sounds like the only outstanding issue is local government versus state government, and who will actually have the authority to put any limitations or otherwise regulate STRs. So that is still one issue that needs to be resolved. My understanding is Senator Brenner, again, the bill sponsor, wants to continue to hold interested party meetings with the goal of reaching a compromise by the end of this year. So I suspect we'll hear more to come on that bill as well. I think Chief Spence earlier mentioned April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Later this week, I'll be issuing a proclamation from that. We're just pulling some of the most recent statistics to incorporate into that proclamation, and we'll be doing some public communication around don't drive with your phone in your hand. There's actually a law against it. Just had an incident this past weekend. My husband and I were driving on 270, and there was a young driver in the other lane veering into our lane and then driving half in our lane and half in her lane, and we finally got up to past her, and she was driving with her phone like this. So there are ways to get directions. You don't need to hold your phone in your hand while you're driving. Please save a life and put your phone down. And then finally, I'm very excited to announce the addition of a new member to my leadership team. Mr. Jeff Gotke has been hired as our new Director of Economic Development. For the last 7 years, Mr. Gotke has served as the president of the Knox County Area Development Foundation, where he led more than 24 stakeholder groups in the development and implementation of economic development initiatives and policies that really are guiding that Knox County and the communities in that area as they continue to experience growth. He will be officially joining my team at the end of this month. I believe April 28th is his first day. So I look forward to introducing him to you when he arrives and to our Gahanna community. I know he's very much looking forward to really becoming entrenched in building relationships here in the community. And I trust that you will all extend a warm Gahanna welcome to him at that time. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Tamala Larison.
Thank you, and good evening. Just briefly for me, I am pleased to announce that shortly after our last council meeting in March, we did get a decision rendered by the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in the city's favor, which concludes that section of litigation for the Speedway case. There is an opportunity to request jurisdiction with the U.S. Supreme Court. They have 90 days to do that, and so I will keep you informed if that does happen. But so far, that was a affirmation of the trial court decision in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. All right, on to council comment. Mrs. Jones.
I was waiting for Ms. McGregor, and I realized that she's not here, so sorry. Let me pull up my notes. I'm so used to her being first. Actually, just really quickly, so constituent report is attached to today's agenda, and then I have my April constituent hour this Saturday at noon at the Bibliophile Candle Co. But that is all for me today.
Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Padova?
Thank you. I am very excited about the upcoming constituent hour and stuffy swap that I'm hosting with Council President Bowers. So this Sunday, the 13th, from 1:30 to 2:30 at the Gahanna Library in meeting rooms 1 and 2. We are doing a little bit different to celebrate Earth Day and to talk about reusing, swapping items to help with sustainability. So the goal is for people to bring in gently used and washed stuffed animals, any kind of stuffies that you have, bring one in, swap it out for a new one, hopefully just in time for you to throw it in an Easter basket if you celebrate, and not have to go buy a new one, because I imagine that if you have a small child, they have plenty of stuffies that you could take away without them noticing. Again, that is this Sunday, the 13th, from 1:30 to 2:30 at the Gahanna Library. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman Padova. All right, Mr. Renner.
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate the Sergeant Michael Shipka and welcome his family and everybody from PD that could actually come here tonight. That was a very nice showing, and my hat's off to all of them. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Mr. Schnitzer?
Nothing to add this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schnitzer. Mr. Weaver?
Thank you, Madam President. I will be brief, echo some of the comments already made. Huge congratulations to Sergeant Shapitka. Very well deserved. We truly have the best in our division, and I'm grateful to every single member of the division. Testament to the sergeant and his legacy and career of service to have this room filled with officers and colleagues of the past and present. So hats off to him, and wish him all the best in the next steps of his career. I will also be hosting a constituent hour this coming Tuesday the 15th, so not tomorrow, but next Tuesday, in the front lobby from 5:30 to 7 here. Hats off to the administration and staff for a wonderful State of the City event. Terrific turnout by our community, as well as community organizations as well, and from I certainly enjoyed sampling the wares of our many wonderful restaurants in our city. So if you haven't seen the video, please take a look online, as the mayor indicated. And that is all for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Weaver. All right, a couple of things going on in addition to the wonderful things that you've already heard this evening. There is a grand reopening of the plant library this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. at 560 Office Center Place. This is in collaboration with an organization called Creative Options and has been supported by community grant dollars. So I would encourage my colleagues and members of the community to celebrate the reopening of the plant library this Saturday morning, so long as it doesn't conflict with Councilwoman Jones's constituent hour.
It's before, we're good.
Oh, good. And then also on that note, because we won't have another council meeting before then, I wanted to thank again and call out Make Gahanna Yours Spring Litter Cleanup that'll be hosted on Saturday, April 19th at 9 a.m., which is a fantastic opportunity to get out and support our community and make sure that our community is fresh and ready for spring and summer seasons. My constituent report is appended to the agenda this evening, and as Councilwoman Padova mentioned, we do have an upcoming constituent hour this coming Saturday. You'll also find in there information activities and policy work that I engaged in over the course of February and March of this year. I also wanted to take a moment to address the request for the resolution regarding a natural family resolution that was been brought before council. This resolution was first requested last month or in February, and then I received an email from a resident, the resident who spoke this evening, requesting a meeting with me with regard to this resolution earlier in March. I responded to that, sought more information, and then engaged in additional research on my own. I understand that she's also received information regarding process from multiple offices within City Hall. I have personally had an opportunity to review the naturalfamilystrong.com website and the model resolution, and while I'm sure that I would find ample common ground as to qualities that are important for a happy and healthy family, many of the values that are expressed on that website are not in line with my deeply held values. Some of those values that are expressed on that website include the concept that a male-dominated household and a subservient wife is the right way to live, and that the right way to live is with one man and one woman in a household. Happy, healthy families can take many different forms, and while those various styles may work for some families, expressing that as an ideal or passing judgment that that is the way to live correctly is not something that I support. Very clearly, loyalty, love and commitment, service to others, generosity, non-materialism, and stewardship of the environment and our community, however, are the values that take much greater priority. And contrary to accusations of moral relativism, I find these values to be deeply rooted across religions, party affiliations, and belief systems. I am one of 7, and I am one of 9 electeds here that serve this community. And if any of my colleagues wish to take up a resolution that supports the values that I've discussed this evening, please feel free to contact the resident. I honor every resident's right to speak before this body. I take that right very, very seriously. And I certainly am always willing to entertain ideas and discussions. However, I am not obligated, none of us are obligated to agree with the positions of every resident that is in our community, nor am I required to advance policy, legislation, or resolutions that do not align with my beliefs of what are in the best interests of our community. With that said, if there's nothing further, we'll adjourn this evening's meeting.